Do you find yourself doing everything, wearing every hat because you can't find anybody to do things the way that you do? If so, then you're going to want to watch this video to the end. I'm going to break down the pros and cons of being a jack of all tradesmen. And then I also want to give a tip that has changed things for me. But first, I want to explain that I'm coming from the perspective of a recovering jack of all tradesmen. I'm starting to get away from wearing a million hats, but I've definitely gotten away from being a jack of all tradesmen. So first off, I want to change the perspective because for me, I thought that because I was able to learn so many different things and be good at so many different things that meant I was supposed to do everything. But I realized that being good at many things doesn't mean you're supposed to be a workhorse. It means that you're supposed to lead people. Okay, because you have the ability to understand that task. You have the ability to lead in that task, see the insights. So take this as a sign that you are meant to be a leader. Now let's talk about the negatives of wearing a million hats. The issues I had with wearing a million hats is that all of the busy work, there's three parts to a successful business from my perspective, right? There's the day-to-day busy work, current commitments that you have, current projects, whatever. Then there's the growth aspect, right? Where you're seeking new business and you're strategically lining things up. And then there's the aspect of planning for the future, thinking long-term, expansion, 5 to 10 years from now. When you're a jack of all tradesmen and you're wearing a million hats, you can only focus on number one, the current commitments, because they're non-stop. You have to keep going. Say in my business, right, it might take me like 3 to 6 months to build current relationships to get to a point where I execute upon getting a project or a bid, especially as being a black man in a society where there's more white people, right? Because there's a layer of comfort that you have to get over. Like these people, it's not just about potentials. When people do business with you, they need to feel a certain sense of comfort, and that comes with relationship building. And that's for everybody, but I think there's an extra step when you're from different cultures. So in order to be able to grow while doing the busy work, you can't be wearing a million hats. You're going to die. And so if it took me 3 to 6 months to get this project, and then this project is taking me 2 months, by the time that 2 months is over, I now might have another 3 to 6 month gap unless that person has referred me to someone else. And that doesn't always happen. Sometimes it does. So the challenge is, how can I step away from the day-to-day work and focus on growth and expansion at the same time, finding a good balance, right? And so what I had to get over was my hangups with delegating to other people. And one of my hangups was that anytime I've attempted to delegate to other people is that they weren't able to do things in the way that I was. I ended up having to come behind them, clean up. It was frustrating. It just ended up being more work. And so at first I thought the problem was other people, but I had to realize that no, the problem was my inability to train them correctly and lead them correctly. And I'm gonna give you this one tip. In the training that I did with Genesis Collective, I created a training about how to delegate. And if you want that training, type video below. One of the main tips that I gave was that the issue isn't so much other people, it's creating trainings to actually be able to explain the unexplainable. Meaning, the things that you can see, hear, and feel that others can't is what makes you unique and special and makes your product unique and special. You have to figure out how to turn that into a training. Meaning, I paid attention to myself. Like, let's put it this way. Number one, I realized that editing took me 40 to 56 hours a month. If I could get those 40 to 56 hours back, at least some of them, I could focus on other areas. And so I began paying attention to the things that I was looking for, what made me choose certain clips and choose certain music. And I began writing those things down, turned it into a training where I could actually say to this person, hey, unless you feel this certain way, or unless this thing is said, disregard it. So you got to be able to figure out what your superpowers are, what separates you, And then you got to pay attention to yourself on a level you've never paid attention to. Like, what are you feeling, seeing, and hearing in those moments when you're making that magic, so you could turn it into a training to someone that you plan to trust that task with to get some more time back. If you're interested in the full delegation training, because it talks about the financial aspect, how to even find what things need to be delegated, it goes over the hangups you might have with confrontation when needing to hold somebody accountable. Type training or video down below, and whenever we're ready to release that delegation video, I will send it to you personally. If you want to reach out to me and talk about this, I'd love to help you figure out your own journey. But yeah, my name is Seth Whitted, author of Breaking Negative Cycles. I challenge you in your entrepreneurial, community-driven journeys to break generational environmental cycles in the same way that we doing out here. Peace.